Hey, I never seen no shit like this, y'all. This is like a cave network of underground warehouses. I'm picking up a load in Springfield, Missouri. Yo, I never seen no shit like this. This is crazy. I'm in a fucking big ass underground cave system with like 25 warehouses in this bitch. Like, what is the reason for this? Like, this is crazy. This is fucking crazy, y'all.
I mean, basically, you got an underground roadway system here that runs all the way to Maine, to Washington, D.C., to Colorado. It's fully stocked. It runs completely underground. And you can see they've been hauling tons of military equipment. They're stocking all these bases. Now, the other thing is the railroad system here is also very strategic. They're bringing in boxcar loads and they're dump shipping here, and they can really deliver to all these locations, which these locations go all the way to Area 51. These locations go all the way to Washington, D.C. There's access underneath the White House to this location, okay? So this is a strategic location, which is really the new command center for the Illuminati and the United States government. I mean, basically, you got
said here. The document outlines military procedures for internment and resettlement of civilians, and it describes the layout and the administration of these internment camps. It clearly states on page 38 that it applies within U.S. territory, and it specifically addresses the detainment of U.S. citizens, as is indicated by the identification procedures for new prisoners on page 146, which states that social security numbers are to be recorded alongside their photograph and fingerprints. Included in the list of organizations which may be involved in these internment operations are the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the Department of Defense, and the United Nations. On page 56, the document outlines the responsibilities of psychological operations officers within the camps, among which it states that a PSYOP officer develops and executes indoctrination programs to reduce or remove antagonistic attitudes and identifies political activists. On page 281, the document goes into more detail regarding the role of psychological operations within the camps, specifically in regards to pacifying the population and ensuring cooperation. On page 238, it gives the conditions for the use of deadly force in such camps. Among the justifications for lethal force, it includes to terminate an active escape attempt. That point right there should make it clear, said here. The document outlines military procedures to terminate an active escape attempt. That point right there should make it clear that these camps are not benevolent disaster relief type facilities. On page 244, the document calls for the use of snipers during riots to, quote, scan a crowd and identify agitators and riot leaders for apprehension and fire lethal rounds if warranted. On page 260, it shows the basic layout for a facility focusing on detainment. It is depicted with interrogation areas, tribunal areas, and mortuaries. Each detainment facility is designed to hold 4,000 prisoners, and they are depicted with multiple levels of barbed wire separating compartments within the facilities, with a double barbed wire fence enclosing them, and watched over by 24 guard towers. On page 261, the document depicts the layout for what they call civilian resettlement facilities, which are designed to house 8,000 people. Though it uses the word resettlement, the plans show multiple levels of barbed wire dividing the sections of the facility, with double barbed wire fencing on the outside, as well as 16 guard towers. On page 262, the layout for facilities designed for what they call non-compliant prisoners is shown. These camps are designed to hold up to 300 prisoners, they have 3 interrogation centers, and are guarded by 13 guard towers. Now, if there's any question whether these plans are active or just theoretical, this should be settled by the fact that the U.S. Army to terminate an active escape attempt. That point right there should make it clear that these camps are not benevolent disaster relief type facilities. On page 244, the document calls for the use of snipers during riots to, quote, scan a crowd.
Happenings are going on. First, I remind you to go back in history and remember Donald Rumsfeld's comment the day before the attack of 9/11, where he said that the Pentagon had lost $2.3 trillion, and then just fortunately, then the Pentagon was destroyed the next day on 9/11, 2001. Well, I believe a lot of that money went to spending for certain operations for the CIA, FEMA, Homeland Security, and a lot of that was building underground military complex. Fast forward to August of this year, if you remember that DC that happened, Virginia, Washington DC, and also in Colorado, there's evidence pointing to that not being an earthquake as much as it was probably a nuclear explosion done by the good guys, the Black Ops military. Happenings are going on. First, I remind you to go back in history and remember Donald Rumsfeld's comment the day before the attack of 9/11, predicting to occur here long about September 27th, give or take a day or two of this year, here just real soon. Officers in the U.S. military didn't seem to be aware of Obama and the globalist plan converging on Denver for a DEFCON 1 meeting, meaning nuclear war imminent. A cocked pistol drill email was sent to the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations on September 21st of 2011 to alert them to a planned false flag nuclear detonation on U.S. soil somewhere in the American Midwest. The U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations were the ones who raided the Citadel gun and safe store in Las Vegas on August 21st to recover stolen nuclear warhead detonators. They were the ones who intercepted the transfer of improvised nuclear warheads by the CIA in the tunnels that connected the deep underground military bases on August 23, 2011. The impoverished nuclear bombs, the W-54 style warheads, they were being predicting to occur here long about September 27th, give or take a day or two of this year. Here, just
told the UFO crowd. Okay.
Right.
They,
before that, you hadn't had contact with that kind of shit, for example.
Before that, I had no contact with any UFO crap whatsoever.
Right.
And then as soon as I got done with these NSA people, I was expecting that they were going to try to kill me. So I got hooked up with these people that sold body armor. It was a local body armor company, and the guy that was their head, whatever he was, rep, happened to also know that the CIA people that I was dealing with that were actually NSA.
Right.
And he was involved with Billy Meyer. He did like security for Billy Meyer for obvious reasons.
Okay.
And so he hooked me up. He hooked me up with Billy Meyer. And when they pumped me full of all their stuff, all their UFO stuff, and of course that took a long time before I, because you don't just swallow that right away, right?
Right.
So it took a long time, but I filed everything away. So in the process, I told the UFO crowd, okay?
Right. Before that, you hadn't had contact with that kind of shit, for example.
Before that, I had no contact.
Sorry about that crap stain on my windshield.
I'd like to talk about the fact that there are rituals done at the military bases also, and that rituals are not a cover for mind control programming, as some survivors have been saying publicly lately. The people that do the mind control are involved, and rituals are very much a part of how they do things. For example, naval intelligence members or people that are in naval intelligence are usually very involved with Ordo Templi Orientis. I'd like to talk about the fact that there are rituals also on Area 51 on this base, which is underground. It's extensive underground system and levels, about 14 levels. They not only deal with extraterrestrials, but in order to hide what they are doing and hide the fact that we have a very advanced technology, that there are a lot of these craft, flying saucers, that they are actually engineering and putting out. We have that much of an advanced technology. It is not coming all of it from aliens. But it settles, or it suits them just fine for us to think that it's also on Area 51 on this base, which